What does the mid-year market update mean to you? Stay tuned. Well, welcome to this week's edition of Note School TV, where every Wednesday at 11:05 Central Time, we bring you, well, the most amazing guests and the most amazing content. And today is our monthly market update. And this is just, it's the mid-year. I cannot believe it's already mid-year, right? But it is. And so we're going to bring you the latest and greatest. Before we do, couple of things. Number one, make sure and like this episode. Make sure and share it with your friends, right? Share it with everybody you know. Please do that. And let's see. Go ahead and subscribe to the Note School TV channel if you've not already done so. And lastly, hit that bell notification so that you will be reminded every week when we're about to go live at 11:05 Central Time. Also, keep those questions, keep those comments coming in. We love seeing them. Eddie and I read all of those that come in. Thanks so much for doing that. Continue to do it as well. And if you would like to know more about what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV. Again, noteschool.com/TV. So with that, I want to bring on our Chief Visionary Officer, founder of Note School, all around good guy, my friend, Mr. Eddie Speed.
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's busy times at Note School.
Yeah, it is. It's the activity level in the note space is a reflection of the market. And that's why we try to pay so much attention to what the market is doing, because it gives us a good weather forecast into where we have opportunities and voids, and we just kind of know what to expect, right? And so,
yes.
Joe, I met with a guy a little bit ago, and I said, he's a very seasoned real estate investor. I said, man, I'm going to tell you, if you watch these market updates, we're pulling together a lot of information that in a quick analysis of once a month, you can really have a scope of the market. And I do believe that in all my heart. So this show is for you guys. We are trying to show you what we see out there and what we're thinking about it. Joe, I'm excited. Let's roll it.
Yeah, let's do. There's a couple of times on this one with a couple of these pieces, Eddie, that I literally had to kind of sit back and take a breath because they were kind of like, really? So anyway, I'll let you know when we get to those. So yeah, let's roll with it. So let's first talk about the housing market. So according to Realtor.com, new listings increased by 7.9% month over month in May, 12.6% more listings this year than there was last year.
Excellent.
Yep. New listings are still 23% lower than the pre-pandemic. So they're almost, that's knocking on 25%, Eddie, at pre-pandemic levels.
Yeah.
And
we're not where we need to be, but we're better than we were.
We're better than we were, right. And then inventory increased by 7.4%. And, well, let's see, 22.1% more as compared to last year. So, yeah, there's a lot going on, and that's good to see. We are heading in the right direction.
Yeah, we're up. There's no negatives behind it except for comparing it to before the virus.
That's it.
And we're not going to get there this year.
No. But
when we're going up, we're going in the right direction.
We certainly are. So this was one that I had seen, and this was actually, it was in from Newsweek, but Redfin is the folks that ran the analytics on this. So it says home sales dropped to their lowest levels on record, right? Not just in the last couple of years, but on record in May. And it also said, Eddie, that 1 in 5, right, sellers slashed their prices last month. I think slashed is probably an exaggeration.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're still nationally, not in any micro market, but
Right.
nationally overall, we're seeing people have to do some concessions, but we are seeing still a lift in some values nationally. And
Yes,
I know
we
you
are.
have some data on that. So
Yeah. Yep.
anyway, we're not selling, 2008 message, right?
No, we're not. And this is kind of funny too. It says, well, they're 32 days on the market as a stale listing. 5 years ago, it was not 60 to 90 days was a stale listing.
Yeah.
But I do like this, and it says seller slash prices because they probably asked too much for their properties in the first place.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
For sure. So, Eddie, you and I have talked about this before, and you and I have kind of talked and spirited back and forth about this. And this is the market deficits. But I do have there's a good explanation here on this. So it says from 2021 to 2022, the housing shortage grew to 4.5 million homes from 4.3 million. But the way they're running the numbers is kind of the clue here, right? So it says in 2022, the number of U.S. families increased by 1.8 million, while there were only 1.4 million houses built. Well, let me go back up to this and say this. What they're saying is that there were non-related folks that were living together that was looking for a house. And so that's where that 4.3 million or 4.5 million shortage home came in. I do believe there is a shortage of homes for sure. But one of the biggest things that a lot of the cities and municipalities are doing, they're looking to kind of relax some of the land use regulations. So, is that the thing to actually do?
Well, first of all, I think anybody that is in this business that we're in, has been doing it for a long period of time, will tell you that we're seeing growing delinquency or growing vacancy. So the 4.3 million shortage in houses is, let me just call it like it is.
Yeah.
It's been a hocus pocus number from the very time it's ever come out.
Absolutely. Well,
I'm just saying, and I'm sure that I'm hurting somebody's feelings right now, and so be it. But there's nothing about that number that's ever made sense to me ever. Because Joe, we've seen all kind of stats on multifamily and on single family rentals, and they have they're seeing growing vacancies. That couldn't be true if there were 4.3 million houses short.
Eddie, why don't we coin this the chicken in every pot theory?
All right. Well, I'm sure we've offended enough people at this point.
Yes, we have. So let's see. Heat index map. Strong sellers market. Well, basically the only strong seller market we have there is in New York, looks like, and down in here where I am, we've got a lot of some buyers markets, right? Strong buyer markets. It was overpriced in Miami, Tampa, Fort Myers area. But the rest of the nation it's still kind of the yellow is kind of the, in here and over here. That's all the sellers markets. And then the light greens and so on. It's kind of neutral. So, yeah.
It's what I'm hearing.
Yep.
I mean, I talk to real estate investors around the country every day, and this is kind of a reflection of what they're seeing. And once again, this isn't the sky's falling, but it is the FOMO thing is not what it was, right?
Yeah.
Fear of missing out that we were seeing in 2021.
Yeah.
All right. Good chart, Joe. Thank you.
Very good. And here is, I hate to say more bad news, but it is what it is. It's the market, right? We're looking at home building slowed in May amid high interest rates. Well, okay. And this is going to talk about, really not going into next year, but here's where we are kind of right now, and all three of those lines, whether it's completed or building permits or housing starts, are all, you know, on the downward slope right now.
Well, one of the things that we know, Joe, is that builders have a long tail between they start construction to finish construction, and then they put them on the market, and it takes another 10 to 11 months to sell them. And so builders' profit margins have been touched by that. And so, you know, I think it's a reflection of the fact that maybe they're maybe they can sell the house, but it's how long it takes them to sell it and what their net margin is at the end.
At the end of the day, that's what it's all about, with labor costs and material costs and all of those other things. Absolutely. And they're saying, hey, we're not going to go back to 08, 07 and 08, where there was, you know, house on every corner that was for sale. Saying, okay, we're going to slow it down, and we're going to try to do it right this time, for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the banks. So,
one of my favorite subjects.
Well, you're going to love it. So there we go, Eddie. That's the advertised rates without the APR are around 7 to 6.99 to 7 to 7.01. And so the 7.3 is a 30-year fixed, including the APR.
Now, Joe, you're a mortgage expert. Could you tell us how that bottom number, that 10-6 ARM, exceeds a 30-year fixed rate? How's that work?
You know, we scratch our heads on that all the time and go, what? Why? You know, I mean, come on.
The only thing logical about that is everything.
Absolutely. So, you know what? I think now that I look at this, I think this may be a little out of place, but it had to do with the banks, I guess. So the zombie banks here. But as I look at it, I go, So we'll go ahead and talk about it now. So this is the commercial real estate maturity. Well, look at this, Eddie. And that's this part right here. And this is 2024. This is 5-6 all the way up to after 2023 2033. But look at the green there. You go from the green to the blue. Yep.
Joe, we've been calling this ball for 2 years, and I hate to look like we're patting ourselves on the back, because I want to tell you something. We didn't make up any of this news. We're just scraping information. Yeah. Everything we're saying is just what we said from information that we were scraping. It wasn't anything other than hard work and other than paying attention to the details. The stuff you do to prepare for this, Joe, is just, you're just following the yellow brick road, right? It's not like we invented anything. But if you hadn't seen this coming and now you see it coming, you realize the problem. Joe, the building that we're in, our landlord offices in this building, it's their corporate office. They own a number of office buildings. They manage about 25,000 multifamily units. The guy, the corner office guy, Bruce, got to know really well. And every time we talk, it's the same story. And I said, you know, Bruce, there's really people in the market that kind of think we're crazy because we're kind of calling the ball on commercial. He says, how could they possibly think that there's not an issue? And I said, because they've been messaged by somebody, you know, that may not have just get the facts out straight.
Yeah. And
so that's the case. And so, yes, we have a lot of maturing loans and a lot to pay attention to, a lot this year. And it ain't over, right?
Well, and, you know, Chairman Powell says that the banking system looks good.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Well, office values down 37%, multifamilies down 26%. So there you go.
And 44% of every commercial bank, other than the top 25 banks, 44% of their loan book is commercial loans.
That's it.
What could be wrong with that?
So, Eddie, now going back to kind of the banking industry and what's going on. So, ICE, which bought Black Knight, so home equity, they're reporting, and ICE is saying 17 trillion, And some of the other sources are saying as high as 35 trillion. But interestingly enough, well, I think it passed. It's going to pass this week. But Fanny is going to start securitizing, right? Second mortgages. They've never done that before. So they're saying that, the average is $50,000 in a HELOC, and they can get between 9.5% and 10% for that. And they feel like they can do 12 to 14 billion in mortgage-backed securities on second lien products.
Could see that one coming.
Yeah. Well, the originations aren't doing so well right now. So I guess.
No, I mean, I'm not. No. There's nothing wrong with it, other than the fact that I will say that allowing people to take money out is probably going to continue to delay people putting their properties on the market.
There you go. And if you've got a 3% rate on a $300,000 loan and you borrow $100,000 at 10, what's your effective rate on that? Really, it's probably around 5, right?
Yeah.
When you blend it and look at it. So yeah, it's a way for folks to get their money out of it for sure. So that's kind of the next big horizon there. And then we'll talk about the Fed a little more, and the Fed's $1 trillion pile of paper losses are turning into actual losses. So this $1 trillion now, there's actually it's under in paper loss, but now it's actually really about 100 billion in real losses and actual losses, and there's no relief in sight. And I think this is that an illusion? Have we ever had just 2% inflation?
I don't know. I don't know that I think for a long time, Joe, we weren't paying attention to inflation.
We weren't.
So I don't know that it was on our radar, so to speak, enough to speak intelligently. But yeah.
Yeah. And another almost $1 trillion in unrealized losses. Yeah. So, the guy from 24 Asset Management, Danny Zaid, says, at the end of the day, the Fed can resume using its printing machine to cover its losses. So that's always good.
Yeah, I wish we all had that machine.
Right.
Do you order that on Amazon?
That's at Money Tree. Yeah, yeah. It's like that deal machine that you came up with a couple of years ago. Yeah. So this is the one that kind of you sit back and you go, wow. So JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citi flagged for holding trillions in derivatives without proper contingency plans. So they're supposed to have these living wills, and these derivatives are these, nobody really knows what they are, Eddie. I mean, they're just some kind of complex thought about by the quants that are out there, but they're really, the big banks hold trillions of dollars in notional debt and potential changes to how they manage the risk, liquidity, and all of that. They're a real danger.
Yeah, I remember those derivatives. That's what tripped up the stock houses during 2008 on the subprime lending deal.
Yeah, just remember that from the Big Short, when Steve Carell's character was sitting in the restaurant there in Las Vegas with the ratings guy, and he says, "Oh no, we don't look at any of that. No, they're synthetic CDOs." But, they're supposed to have this from the aftermath for Dodd-Frank, which passed, and went into effect in 2014. So, yeah, that's a little kind of catch your breath a little bit. So anyway, it's almost like we're playing with Monopoly money, Eddie.
Yeah. I think that, I think we are definitely got some interesting days ahead with our banks.
Yep.
And I think if we are ignoring it, or we're oblivious to it, I guess I should say, then I think it could catch us by surprise. For us, we think it's going to be an opportunity. And for others, I think it's going to be the surprise they weren't wanting. Let's talk about commercial real estate.
There are good surprises and bad surprises. Yes. So this came from an article from, TV station in Austin. And it says that 9% of apartments in the Austin metro area are vacant, which is up from 7.3 in 2023. So they're the 15th in U.S. for apartment vacancies, and 66% of the home listings are stale. So, yeah. And look at this, 26,000 additional units. They've got a 9% vacancy rate, but 26,000 additional units, which will be available for rent by the end of the year.
Well, looks like everybody's going to move to Austin.
Well, it led the country in new build deliveries in 2023, and the supply outpaced the demand. So, yeah, that's one of those where you go, wow. Let's see.
I would say that, if I have this really shocked, amazed look on my face, I don't know why I would, because this is a ball that we've been calling for a while.
We've been calling.
And we don't want to pick on anybody. We don't. Look, I got great friends in Austin. Right? I'm not trying to pick on them. It's just like people. I think some people were kind of ignoring the obvious.
Yeah.
All right, Joe. Let's talk about this.
So 10 worst apartment occupancy performers in the U.S., and they've all seemed to climb. So we've got Lubbock, we've got San Antonio and New Braunfels. We have a student that lives in New Braunfels, Corpus Christi in Texas, and they've all got, this number here, the percentage, but then when you look at the 100,000 vacancies that they have, that's a lot. So, you look and you go,
So Jacksonville leads the pile. 100.
Yes.
No. New San Antonio, 210,000.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Then you got Jacksonville, and then
Memphis
drags in third place as being the worst.
Yep. And then you've got Baton Rouge.
Red Stick.
Yep. And Colorado Springs. Yeah.
Joe, good grab here. It's amazing how data changes some of our minds.
It does. Well, it just, you can't, it is what it is. So Eddie, this is from the TREP folks. And this is their special servicing report. And so, for everybody else out there, a special servicing report is when loans become delinquent or have a problem, then they go into the special servicing. So
the loss mitigation department, right?
There you go. And we can see that those numbers, whether it's for the, this is May 23 to 24, and this is the balance of loans, and this is just chart 2. So this is the percentage, and this is the almost 50 billion in is moving up.
You know what, Joe? One of the interesting things is it's been harder to get data about commercial compared to residential, as far as what the back sheet, they call it, right? The loans that aren't paying good.
Yes.
What the data is on this. And so this is helpful for all of us, because we do see a trend. It can't be a surprise.
No.
But we do see a trend, and at least we have some sense of like what that trajectory looks like.
And I thought this was interesting. This little piece here. Office sees its first decline this year as far as the number of not going into special servicing. So,
yeah,
who knows what that means, right? Only the shadow knows. So, all right, banks could face 141 billion in commercial real estate loans, but some of the analysts says, hey, we can handle it.
There you go.
So those with more than 50 billion in assets will possibly face 141 billion in loss tied to commercial real estate. And that's over the next 9 quarters. So 9 quarters would be what? 9 times 4, like 2.5 years, I guess, is what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years and a month, or 2 years and a quarter.
Yeah.
So here's the thing about it, Joe. I don't believe they can handle it. And I think that's why a lot of people have been talking about seeing such a merger in banks. Yeah. Essentially, a bank gets taken over. And, but that guy says that there's no problem. We can handle it. And so I'd say, well, there you go. That's one man's opinion.
But then to have, out of that group of problem loans, about 48% would present severe losses. Severe losses. So yeah, I don't know. We'll just we'll keep calling it the way we see it. And so this is for the home flippers out there. So according to Adam, home flipping is going up a little bit. So 67,000 single family homes and condos were flipped in Q1, and that was up from last quarter of last year by about 15,000 houses.
Well, if you're watching the house wholesaling market, you are fully aware that there is a couple of states that have essentially now outlawed wholesaling, and it is generally believed there is much more of that to come. And this is a common topic in some of the masterminds that I'm involved in. Mm-hmm. I'm not wanting for bad, but I am saying that if you're in that business and your primary business is wholesaling houses, you probably need to keep your head on a swivel as to what's going on.
Right.
So I think that the number of flipping trends may vary. And so once again, lots to be said about the regulatory environment of wholesaling contracts.
Yeah. And it really, there's a lot of folks that are being taken advantage of out there in their older years by some of the companies out there. We won't mention any of that, but yeah, so that was 8.7% say the house was flipped, whether it was a house or a condo. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting trend as well. So again, we ask this question every month, are the trees growing to the sky?
Well, I think as far as commercial real estate is concerned, if you still think the trees are going to the sky, that you probably have been in hibernation for a while.
Yeah, probably got your head in the sand, just like the one bird, which I don't remember which one does that. But yeah, I think so. Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about NPLs.
All right.
So Eddie, you sent this to me, and so last night, so I went in and I looked it up and so on. And when we look at this, and it's 34.7 trillion, but this is what really kind of slaps you in the face here. Just read that.
Over 4 years and 5 months since January of 2020, it is spiked by 11 trillion. That means just go back to 21, Joe, and look where it was and follow it up. And this is alarming.
So it's gone up over 30% in 4 years.
Yeah, it's alarming. And so that's why a lot of people are concerned about, a significant recession at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, Joe, here's the thing about it. One thing that I would say about the market today, the data is so available today that we can watch it in a lot of these things, whether it's multifamily or whether it's any of these market trends. It seems almost like it's in slow motion.
It does.
And the reason it does is because this data wasn't available to the average person a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so now all of a sudden it's available. It does, when it finally gets out of hand and everybody knows about it, it's kind of like where we are with commercial real estate. We've been calling that ball for 2 years. Yeah. And, there's people, Joe, that probably kind of feel like we're a little bit crazy. What are these guys saying? Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden you look back 2 years later and it's like, oh yeah, and so anyway, I think this is going to be a variable of the same thing. We're just aware of it quicker.
That's it. So Eddie, that equates to $103,000 per American, whether you're a kid, a baby, a infant, or what, all the way up to, to elderly. And one of the other misnomers that I pulled out here too was that most people think, well, China owns most of the debt, or this $8 trillion of that debt is owned by foreign investors. That not any one, any one country owns more than another, but yeah, absolutely. So, but the 30% increase over 4 years is shocking for sure.
Good grab.
So let's talk about, Fannie Mae, they're doing some reperforming loans, right? And there's 6,500 loans in that trade. UPB 1.470 billion. And so Eddie, the bids were awarded on that in May, mid-June, which is just now passed. The due diligence is ended, and they're in the closing process right now with the bidders on those loans. So reperforming loans.
Yeah. We've been talking about it forever, and that's a pretty big pile of them, almost $1.5 billion worth.
Yep. And then we've got another, and these are NPLs, non-performing loans, but these are deeply delinquent loans here. So 1,200. Again, the bid will be awarded mid-July. Due diligence ends late July, and then it'll close in August. So yeah, they're moving some out, but 1,200. I mean, that's not a lot of loans compared to what we know.
Not compared to 2 million delinquent notes.
Yeah. So foreclosures on the rise. So again, 1 in 4,300 according to Adam, and New Jersey experienced the highest rate of foreclosures last month. Delaware is had more homes that were foreclosed upon, but yeah. And then Florida and so yeah, it's there. And the problem gets worse as home prices continue to increase, and mortgage rates and taxes and insurance and all of that. So I thought I had put this one in there, Eddie, but it says actually that as time goes by, as rates go up, and as prices continues to go up, like we've seen, that actually the down payment for somebody to afford a home is going to be more like 30 to 32% versus 19 to 20%.
Look, affordability is the elephant in the middle of the room. The foreclosure situation is, we've been showing you a loan portfolio of seriously delinquent mortgages on this once a month market update for 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. It's 1.8 million loans, right? And you see, them sell 1,200 of them, or you see, the foreclosure rate go up by whatever, like 10%. Let me just tell you, Joe, it is a powder keg, and it's brewing, and it will go. It will happen. And is it because of the elections, or is it because of, Russia's, not happy with us this week, or whatever, all the excuses that you can think up? The deal is, this inventory of delinquent notes is going to come home to roost.
It is.
And we watch it, and there's opportunities with it, but it's a powder keg. I mean, it's a pent up inventory of loans. And Joe, take your highlighter and mark the far right column over there. That is the days delinquent of loans in foreclosure. And that does say 1,014 days.
Yeah.
It's a powder keg.
It's a powder keg. Now, the number did go down a bit from earlier in the year. It's 1.825, but that doesn't count the HECMs and which are the reverse mortgages, and there's a lot going on.
Let me say this, Joe. soft delinquency is fine. I'd love to see them go to zero. But the
Right.
truth of the matter is, seriously delinquent loans is the ones, that's the elephant in the middle of the room. And that number's not changing.
That's it. It's not budging.
All right.
Eddie, that is it. We know that we're in a note cycle, and we're just going to continue to keep reporting on that, right?
In the last week, I've had 4 different veteran investors, veterans that own rental portfolios, 4 different ones that have said, I'm selling my rentals with seller financing. They're not making cash flow, and I can collect a lot more net income on a rental than I can a note. Yep. And I'm saying to you that, and some of it is, the reason they're even saying it to me is because they watch this show and some of the other stuff we do, and they see us pencil out the math and show why that's true. But the answer is, Joe, it is where it is. The market is where it is. Listen, here is the basic story we believe, okay? Residential is not in any giant danger of some massive depreciation. In fact, Fanny, Freddie, National Association of Realtors are projecting about a 4% increase for the year. So we're not painting a picture that residential is in some massive issue. I don't think anybody with reality has no idea where commercial is going yet.
Right. We don't.
Right. It's kind of like trying to read the resi market in 2008 too early. Yes. And I had all these people telling me what they thought it would do and this and that, and it was worse than they thought. Is resi going to be as bad as I think it is, or is it going to be as easy as somebody else thinks it is? I don't know. Here is the risk in commercial real estate. Who's going to make a loan in 18 months?
That's it.
Because the banks have tightened up. I just met with a guy today that says, I could not agree with you more. What I was doing with the banks is, they're not near so friendly. And I said, they're trying to clean their balance sheet up. It's pretty obvious. And I think if you're watching something to happen, I'm just trying to lead you in a direction you might look. The biggest issue with commercial real estate is who is going to make the loan.
That's it.
Because over 70% of all commercial loans were made by those banks other than the top 25 banks. That's now about 45% of their whole portfolio. And you saw that grid of how many of them those balloons are coming due. And Joe, those balloons are coming due, and those aren't going to be even terms when they recast them back out.
No. Well, and you just look at one market, just look at the Austin market we just talked about. I mean, they're got a 9+% vacancy rate right now, and they got another 26,000 units coming online this year.
I'm a gamer for Austin.
Yep. Love Austin.
I might be guilty of letting the fire burn down a little bit before I jump in it. Yep. But Austin, kind of like California and some other places, it tends to be a little more volatile. It has been ever since I've lived in Texas. But there's lift in Austin, and it'll happen. But the question is timing.
That's it.
And so when you figure out, all of you guys in the audience, when you figure out what perfect timing is, let me give you my email address.
Please. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I want to know. All right, Mr. Joe, it is month end.
Yes.
And we are saying goodbye to June and hello, July.
We are. And
a lot of things are heating up in the market. Summertime, you get that connection there.
Yep.
But Joe, great job on the data. I want to compliment you once again on pulling together a very balanced objective of the market. Guys, we're not trying to call it better than it is and worse than it is. We're just trying to call it what it is.
That's it.
See you, Joe.
Well, guys, thanks so much. We will see you next week. Have a great week and take care.